Yeah.
Is this a hot mic?
No, we're not gonna have that. As long as we're not texting each other. No, oh, no, I can.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's red, it means mute.
You're on.
You're on.
Oh, if you're red, you're on.
It's a hot
Oops.
mic.
Oh, okay.
It's because you. Say again? Okay.
Dr. Gowen, may I call this meeting to order?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Notice of a public meeting and public hearings of the Bronzeville Community Improvement Corporation Board of Directors pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Opening Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that a meeting of the Bronzeville Community Improvement Corporation, BCIC, will be held Thursday, March 27th, 2025 at 4:01 p.m. in the City Commission's chambers. I will now take roll call. When I state your name, please say present. Eva Garcia,
Present.
Mark Horowitz,
Present.
Sergio Martinez,
Present.
Dr. Rose Gowen,
Present.
Cesar Lopez, Tracy Wickett, and virtually we do have Murad Abu Salim.
Present.
Thank you. All right, item number 2, we do have public comment. Please note, for conduct, conversations between or among audience members should be conducted outside the meeting room. Cell phones, attendees must refrain from operating and using cell phones, pagers, or any mechanical devices that may disrupt BCIC board meeting proceedings. C, placards, banners, and signs. Placards, banners, and signs are not permitted in this room in which BCIC board meetings are conducted. This prohibition includes various hats, caps, visors, and T-shirts which may represent sentiment as alluded to regarding place card, banners, or signs. D, exhibits and visual aids. Exhibits, displays, and visual aids used in connection with presentations to the BCIC board meetings are not permitted. E, approaching the meetings tables. Only BCIC board members and BCIC staff may approach the meeting tables. If a report, letter, or any other documents is to be presented to the board, it should be given to the recording secretary prior to the start of the board meeting for distribution. A copy of the item should be made available for the recording secretary's official record. Number 2, addressing the board. Public comment scope. Speakers may only provide comments on the agenda items or matters relevant to BCIC projects, programs, or initiatives. Comments should not be directed towards other individuals who provide public comments. B, addressing the board. All comments shall be addressed to the BCIC board members, not individual board members. Speakers must maintain a respectful tone and refrain from personal attacks, inflammatory remarks, or demeaning statements towards any individual or group. 3, enforcement of code conduct, disruptive behavior. Any individual engaging in disruptive comments, interruptions, or behavior that interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting will be asked to stop. If the behavior continues, the individual will be asked to leave and, if necessary, removed from the meeting. B, authority to enforce. The board chair enforces the public comment rules during the meeting. If necessary, the CEO or BCIC legal counsel may provide guidance or intervene to ensure proper protocol is followed. We do have one public comment. Can we please have Rodrigo Berberg step up? Once you do come up, please state your name, your address, please, and your comment topic.
Hello, my name is Rodrigo Berberg, and my address is 1150 Quail Hollow Drive, 78520, and I'm here to talk about Startup Texas. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. I first want to express my gratitude in participating in the Startup Texas program. I won Best in Show and Community Choice, and I want to sincerely thank everybody involved. However, I would like to share my thoughts on the recent changes to the funding structure, as they significantly impact the program's effectiveness and success in the participants. Previously, Startup Texas employed a merit-based funding model, awarding 40, 20, and 10,000 based on performance. This structure motivated participants to excel, knowing their efforts would directly influence their ability to scale. Now, with a flat 10,000 award, the element of merit and competition has been removed. Funding is no longer tied to merit. Instead, individuals can simply sign up and receive a grant, regardless of progress or impact. This shift diminishes the program's capacity to drive innovation and support startup with the highest potential for success. I want to make it clear that I'm not advocating for taking away anybody's funding that has already been promised. My concern is about the long-term success of the program structure. A more balanced approach, one that ensures all participants receive support while incorporating merit-based funding, would better serve the program's mission to the entrepreneurs it aims to help. Recognizing and rewarding the highest performing startups would align with the program and principles of competition and innovation while maintaining broad accessibility. Additionally, this revised funding approach does not align with current federal policy, which prioritizes merit-based funding and efficient allocation of resources. The recent removal of certain funding structures emphasizes the importance of awarding grants based on performance, innovation, and measurable impact. Ensuring that Startup Texas follows these principles is not only crucial, but also for maintaining compliance. Currently, I am in a weak position to raise funding. Actually, today, I talked to a VC investor from Guadalajara, and they offered me 25% of equity for my company. I would not be in this position if the policy of the program were different. I risk conceding significant equity merely to survive. My preference would be to launch first and seeking investors later. With this funding structure, I have no choice but to approach alternative options with collateral or with collateral-based loans. I understand concerns about fairness, but eliminating competition isn't the answer. Transparency is. Providing clear judging criteria and post-competition score breakdowns would reinforce trust in the process. A hybrid approach offering a base amount while rewarding top performers would ensure both access and merit-based incentives. If I don't advocate for myself, no one will. This is not about me, but also future participants and the long-term success of the program and people who would be standing where I am now. I respectfully request that this issue be addressed at the next board meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Berberg. Moving on to item number 3, consent agenda items. All items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. If requested by a board member, any item may be taken off the consent agenda by the chair for individual consideration. Item 3.1, approval of the meeting minutes. A, meeting minutes of February 24th, 2025. B, meeting minutes of March 14th, 2025. Item 3.2, approval of the accounts payable report. A, accounts payable report from February 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2025. 3.3, consideration and action on an amendment to the Startup Texas Advancement Fund guidelines, originally approved on February 3rd, 2025, to allow for marketing materials and establish a reimbursement grant structure. Item 3.4, consideration and action to approve a $30,000 contract with Harry Walker Agency LLC for the keynote speaker at the 2025 RGV Startup Week as budgeted.
Are we taking these individually or as a group?
All as one.
All at once? All right. Does anyone care to make a motion to approve or not?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we'll be going to the public hearings. Item number 4, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-001, Gorgas Science Foundation, in the amount not to exceed $195,000 and $727.00 for Sable Palm Sanctuary improvements and restoration. Dr. Gowen, do we have a motion to open public hearings?
Yeah, would someone like to motion open public hearing?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
Okay, my name is Larry Loff. I'm
Good
the
afternoon.
chairman of the board of Gorgas Science Foundation. I was at the university for many years. With me also is Daniel Provenzano. Dr. Provenzano is also a board member. He's also going to be presenting.
Mr. Loff, could you speak into the microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry. I ought to know better than that. Okay, so trying to do a 5-minute presentation on a complex project is an interesting challenge. So we're going to let the slides roll, and then we're going to just tell a little bit of our story as we go along. Audubon and Sable Palm Sanctuary have long been the blue chip birding places in South Texas. The sanctuary was closed in 2007, and then Audubon came and approached Gorgas in 2008 to reopen it. They approached us again in 2009 to reopen. We finally agreed to reopen it, and we sold our precious Alonso building downtown and reinvested all of that money in reopening the trails, rebuilding the Rab Plantation to be our visitor center, and to make a move. We reopened the sanctuary on New Year's Day, 2010. In many ways, our approach to Sable Palm Sanctuary is different from Audubon's. We feel like we're much broader. We've added important Sable stories. We started telling of the legacy of the mighty Rio Grande River, North America's second Mississippi, where steamboats once plied the river and stopped at the Rab Plantation and changed our communities. And finally, what the heck happened to that mighty river? So that's part of our story. We started telling about one of the rarest ecosystems in the United States, a palm forest that once dominated 60,000 acres of delta forest along the old river's course. A mystery, because it's a tropical ecosystem in an arid land. Birding, rare ecosystems, legacy of a mighty river that's now gone. These are all stories that we continue to build on. But people keep asking us for more. We know we're in the right track because people ask us to give them more. This grant will help us do this. But there is another story, a human side. COVID sped the broadening of this calling. More and more families enjoyed the respite, be able to come to the sanctuary, walk the trails, and enjoy getting out. And that's part of what we're here today, is talking about that growth. So I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Provenzano to give points.
Thank you. Tough act to follow. What we plan to do in order to represent and reoffer Sable Palm to our community is to reinvest in the beauty of the Rab building, which has been going a little bit in disrepair over the years. And this is something that we believe is important because we need to instill pride in our community. Item 1. Item 2, we need space. We need to offer more spaces that we can propose community activities in. We have the Barbara Warburton Education Center, which is clogged by a butterfly collection we inherited, which we'd like to propose and offer and display. We don't have that capability. We also need storage space. So the idea to build an addition to the Barbara Warburton Center alleviates that. Secondly, there is a very beautiful historical stable building that we'd like to bring back and offer also as a community space that would be better suited for, let's say, groups that are not as large as need accommodation in the education center. This is all intended for, yes. our community. Most importantly, I believe, we're trying to address many community needs, and one of them is our disproportionate adverse health outcomes. And in this, we are offering a new bicycle path, not new fitness path, which was born out of my childhood in Switzerland. We call them Vita parcours. And in Switzerland, I did this with my family all the time. Went out and ran, and since we don't have a Vita parcours, look at me now. So we have a path that is away from the birding viewing area that will be reserved for this, in which every couple of 100 yards or 50, 70 yards, we have outdoors exercise equipment that family members can participate, and tying us in with Chris Nelson's vision of the city-wide bicycle trail is going to make a huge difference to connect us with Texas Southmost, which is, you know, is an underserved community that just took my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions? I have one question. What is the surface of this trail that you're talking about? Is it going to be mulch or hard packed dirt, or what is the surface?
I think we have been using decayed or granite on some of like the butterfly gardens, and it seems to be a nice mix. It's not that clayey caliche. It's great for moisture, and I'm thinking we're going to put that on that trail, whereas the rest of the trails have no surface. They're just, you live whatever the weather is, and right now you'd be wearing boots. But I think we're going to use this, they call it decayed or degenerated granite. But anyway, it's a neat product. But it's still, it's still permeable.
And you'll be maintaining that
Yes.
along with the other buildings that you're going to.
Right. Docents are important.
So the other buildings, the buildings that you're going to be renovating, these are all mostly for event space, or like, and who are participating in these events? And
Well, they're a mix. For example, it's been 11 years, 12 years since we restored the Rab Plantation. It needs maintenance work. It had a roof before we got it that needs to be replaced. So part of it is our visitor center, which is available for people to use, of course, every day. And then the other spaces are, we're essentially expanding our ability to hold larger groups, to have displays, and have smaller meetings. And so that's what we're maximizing the ability to use the spaces that we now have for these small additions.
in the stables and in the main house?
Yes.
And are you?
An addition to the Warburton, we don't have that on now. In addition to the Warburton Center, because that allows us to collect, we have this collection called the Glick collection that's famous all over the world. It's taking up 1/3 of our meeting room. We need to put it in an archival space so that we can now seat 125 people instead of 60 or 80 people. So it lets us expand and really get ready for some things. Brownsville is considering doing a birding festival. We are the premier part of that, and we need to be ready as broadly available as we can be.
And so I understand there's an ecotourism site, or there was a development that was planned just north of Sable Palm. Is that still going on?
That was being driven by a grant. But if you can tell me how grants are faring on the federal, I've asked them several times how they were doing. They, of course, are optimistic, but who knows at this point?
So you guys are
to collaborate
coordinating
with them.
You're coordinating, collaborating.
Well, yeah, sure, because we're neighbors and they have the same sort of general interest in conservation education, and the like. And so it would be silly for us not to collaborate to the extent we can. For example, maybe they use some of our space when they need to have a meeting.
If I can just add a quick question. I did see here that you're trying to incorporate like a bike trail within the walking trail. Did I read that correctly? Or if you can just
Okay.
specify was just
Yeah.
a little, just bring clarity to it, but
Yeah,
I'm
no,
all for it.
no.
I appreciate that.
There was a bit of confusion. The idea is to allow the bike trail, which is now being extended to Southmost, to connect with us and
Okay.
make a bike rack and any amenities available to bicyclists that make it all the way down. This is also direct connection with the Southmost neighborhood,
Correct.
kids riding a bike. On the other side, the fitness trail has to be exclusively for fitness people, for the family. You don't want to have bicycle people run by you. It's not acceptable.
The other thing that we found also, because we collaborate and work with Audubon and they talk about their sites, bicycles do not get along with bird watching because a bicycle, as it goes down a trail, is perceived as a predator and will scare every bird away, and you will have a lot of very angry birders after one bicycle. So really, we want to encourage people to come to our area on their bicycles and then enjoy the walks and the other trails. Park their bicycle at the center.
Understood. Thank you.
I just kind of want to add to that. I grew up in the southmost colonia, South Point colonia, way out there, and Sable Palm Sanctuary was like my nearest park, oddly. But I wanted to kind of add, I know the Southmost Nature Trail is going to those two schools in deep Southmost, and I know Cameron County is looking to create sidewalks that connect Lopez High School and the neighborhoods that live out there. So just FYI says that I know that there will be connections, safe connections out there in that area. So I think, go ahead.
Just had one quick question. Do you guys offer any like discounts for low-income families or like?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, those kind of things?
Discount for families, discount for young people, discount for college kids. We work with a lot of university people. So yeah, we've got and we're incredibly inexpensive. I think we're only $6. And then we have a pretty inexpensive seasonal pass, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times we just have open day. Come on in and join us.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, can you hear me?
Yes, Murad, go ahead.
All right. First of all, thank you very much for the beautiful presentation. Just curious, do we have an average number of visitors right now? And what's the forecast, increase in the visitors for once these investments are completed? Can you hear me?
Murad, we can't quite understand you.
I'm so sorry. Okay, let me try again. Can you hear me now? Better?
Yes.
Okay. So my question was, what's the average number of visitors right now to the site? And what's the forecasted increase in the number of visitors once these investments are completed?
Visitors and the forecast.
Visitor load after Sable was closed for 3 years, we were into zero. We built that up to about 7,000. And most people coming from elsewhere in the United States, plus a lot of people from the community. And then COVID knocked us down, like most nonprofits and venues, just knocked us feet out from under us. We're back up to 8,000. We had planned to be at 10,000 if COVID hadn't come along. But the expansions that we're making now, we hope we get to that point. We are, except for the zoo, I think we are the largest draw for people to come to birding and biodiversity in our area. And we need to greatly enhance and move forward on that because through streaming, through all of those medias.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Murad?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else? So we need a motion.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We now need a motion to action on that item.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for South Texas Astronomical Society.
I'll second, Eva.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Let us
read it. Yeah. Thank you, though. Thank you. Item number 5, public hearing and consideration, discussion, and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-002, South Texas Astronomical Society in the amount not to exceed $30,972.36 for installation of a solar system interactive models at Linear Park.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is Victor de los Santos. I'm accompanied here by Maki Jate and Blaine Allen. We represent the South Texas Astronomical Society, and we want to build a solar system in the park for the community. So a solar system in the park, this project, it's a 2-scale solar system model. So typically the scale of the solar system and the distance between the planets are very hard to imagine. So we took that scale and put it into a size that fits at Linear Park. So the project, it includes these physical stations. They have 7-foot tall steel beams and 2-by-2-foot plaques for each planet. Each one is accompanied by images and information about the planets, along with a QR code that leads back to our website, dedicated web pages for each station that has more resources and Spanish translations. Our goal here is to educate, engage, and inspire, which we've always done through STARS. So over the past 5 or 6 years, we have reached about 25,000 people in our community. And one thing we've discovered is that people here love space and science, and they want to be a part of it. And so we think that a really good way to bring that into the culture in Brownsville is to give the community this free educational resource that they can go to at any time, not just at our programs, but they can go at any point. We will be able to bring people off the internet, go out into nature to downtown Brownsville, and learn more about the solar system.
Hi guys, I'm Blaine. I'm the engineer and welder for the project. I don't know about you, but it's kind of hard for my mind to wrap around tens of millions of miles or the vastness of space. I mean, honestly, I have a hard time imagining just how big the state of Texas is. So if you would take a moment and look at the area in black, that's what the actual scale of the solar system is. And what we did was we're working to make this very intuitive for members of the public to be able to understand. And so we've overlaid those exact distances into Linear Park. Now this includes an informational station for getting to know our sun, our own planets, our asteroid belt, as well as an overview station describing what this is like at either end. We'll also have a time capsule station for the community and the online engagement that Victor had mentioned. And we can do this in about 6 months. I want to offer a huge thank you to Brownsville Parks and Rec for greenlighting this and helping us with that installation. So when we were designing this, we identified a huge opportunity, namely that because we can design and build this in-house, we can provide a longer lasting, more beautiful art installation for about half the cost of similar models. Generally, this is around $75,000 to $85,000. And these are big attractions for cities. And you'll notice that the highest cost here is for materials. I'll be explaining that here, our advanced alloy here in a moment. So how ready are we to complete this? We've been working on this for actually many years. And we already have all of our approvals. And if you look here on the right-hand side of the diagram, you can see the 2-scale models. We actually brought with us a 2-scale poster printout. We can show you that after in the Q&A if you'd like. Now, how sustainable is something like this? We've all seen pictures that are printed out, and then 2 years later, the ink has totally faded and we can barely even read it. A lot of the signs in Brownsville are like that. And so we chose an advanced alloy 316 stainless steel, and to laser engrave directly onto this steel instead of using ink. This will provide a 20+ year lifetime of this project, while also making it endurant to corrosion, weather, and advanced sunlight.
Hello, my name is Maria and I'm the designer. I'm talking about the Well, just like everything else that we do at STARS, this project is free and open to the public, and the station designs adhere to ADA best practices. It will be accessible and wheelchair friendly. We will be doing all Spanish speaking, because this is a Spanish speaking city, we'll be doing the website and social outreach in English and Spanish and try to make this solar system in the park a world-class public installation that serves Brownsville's families, residents, and visitors alike.
Thank you. So here's our funding request. We have the matching fund secured as well. And so, yes, this is what we need to bring space down to earth to Linear Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I do have a question. I love the idea of having this, and I love, your plan as far as sustainability. I think that Linear Park is already a busy park. It's in the Midi Cultural District. We have the farmers market there, and there are other trails in the community that would better serve areas that are underserved, honestly. And so there's the Southmost Nature Trail, the West Rail Trail, that would really benefit from amenities like this to encourage that physical activity and exploration. So why did you select this? And, again, I'm a little bit concerned again about the busyness of that area.
Yeah, so we have a long history of doing the Lunada Artisan Market. We've done a lot with the Parks and Rec Department, and it's always been there. So I guess our biggest motivation for doing it there was because it was a busy area, and so we wanted it to be very visible. A lot of our programs, and we've already done a lot of stargazing and STEM activities for the public there. So we felt like it made sense to add that physical installation. But we are not opposed to doing things like this.
I would like to recommend a change of location, particularly to kind of connect the La Posada area where I know you've done stargazing with Cara Cara Trails and the Tu Salud Si Cuenta program. Additionally, the Southmost Public Library is there and a safe space for parking and for people to access the trails. I know that that trail is going to be expanded in that area. And don't they have an observatory at the Southmost Nature Trail? They have They
Yes,
have
we've worked
something
with
there.
them on that.
Yeah, I think you've worked with them before. So obviously we have more questions and stuff, but I just already think that it would be great to kind of try another area.
My question, and I think it's a great idea. I'm so glad that you're doing it in metal because we had a series of like learning stations along Belden Trail many years ago, but they were wooden and they really deteriorated very, very quickly. So I'm so glad to see that. Did I understand that the plaques are in English, but if you want them in Spanish, you have to scan with a QRS code?
Yes, that's correct. We'll have the website components for each station available in English and Spanish.
Okay, and have you run this by the Midi Foundation, the Midi Cultural District Board, rather?
No, not yet.
Okay, so you might, my suggestion would be to do that. I recall a few years back when the Mr. Amigo stars were placed at the Linear Park. They were disappointed that they were not included, not that they would have vetoed it, but that they wanted to know what kinds of things were going into the district. And this, as Eva said, is a very busy part of the district. Did you have a comment, Sean?
Good afternoon, Sean De Palma, Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Brownsville. To respond to your inquiry, if you would like, because our staff is going to be installing the units, if you're able to fund the project, and of course, we're putting money into the investment of the project, we can put it at Linear Park as a pilot and then move it to another location because we're installing and we can make footers, install another location, run a pilot, and see the activity of the QR code, and then see at that point what would be the best fit. The main reason when we met with them is the Children's Museum and the zoo. And it was the children population that was gonna be going by, not so much, I know they're presenting it as the entire community getting educated on the STAR system, but one of their key things were the youth, and that's why that location, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was more, the foot traffic is heavy there for children.
It's quite an ideal central part of Brownsville, having a little bit of space among all of the other Thank you very much for that comment.
Maybe you do approach it as a pilot and because there is still the observatory at the Southmost Library, is there not? And isn't there a trail, like a walking trail through that space?
Yes.
I mean, if it's very successful, perhaps you come back next time and we give you the funds for a second installation in Southmost.
I would love that.
Mr. De Palma, sorry, I have a question. So if, like how much occupation or how much is Linear Park occupied in a given week? Like how many events are there or given month? Is it, I know that there's farmer's market regularly every Saturday morning. Is there anything else that is going on in Linear Park?
It varies. We have.
Sorry.
We have small pop-ups that occur throughout the month. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I know in January specifically, I think we had a total of 7, not counting the consistency of the farmer's market every Saturday, which also the department has the caboose area where arts and crafts, which are children of course there. So I believe it was a total of 11, and we did host Lonata in January as well. I don't know about the average a month, but I knew that month specifically because someone else was looking for that data. But we can get that to you. Again, because of the design of these units and the structure of them, the integrity of them, we could always mount them, a surface mount, but then drop that mounting piece into the ground, remove them after a certain amount of time, and even if everybody would agree, if they desired, we can go to 3 different locations, maybe a month and a half, advertise it, push it out, maybe have a small pop-up event or a pop-up event, because we've been doing it with this group at Sports Park, at Morningside during the camp out, and start getting some foothold there, dance it around a few trails. And if wherever it does well, we anchor it, then next year they say, hey, but this also did well, maybe we do it again. Because I understand Mrs. Garcia's concern. We don't want to put more and more amenities into Linear Park when there's other locations that really are craving for amenities. So I completely appreciate her point.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Yes, I just want to clarify this mechanism of installation of these panels. Are you saying there is no requirement for footings, like concrete footings or anything of that sort, to make these stable?
Can you understand?
I'm sorry, I'm
All
not
right.
sure I
No,
heard the question, but I think
I'm
it was
so
about
sorry. I think I'm
footings.
okay. Let me try again. I'm just curious about the mechanism of installing these panels. Do you need to add any underground footings to make it stable or not?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. The substructure actually goes beneath the ground about 2 feet. Because they stick out about 7 feet out of the ground, the substructure is a plate that is what allows the beam to be at an angle and appear as though it is leaning forward. The practicality of moving them, I'll need to investigate further into that. Presently, this is designed as a permanent installation. I quite like the idea of being able to come back and create a second installation at another location at a future time.
Exactly. So that's why I want to clarify. I mean, it's not as easy to just move it around, but I agree with the notion of making this as a pilot program, pilot installation at the Linear Park. And if it's successful, then we can duplicate it, hopefully, if the funds is available.
Yes, so if I understood correctly, yes, the design that we have now is designed to be a permanent installation, but we are definitely open to doing a temporary structure that we can move around and pilot and put in different locations.
Any other questions?
And you're the owner, but it's maintained by the city, or you're maintaining it?
Yes, sir. So once we construct it, the Parks and Recreation Department will actually have the ownership of what we're making. However, we take full responsibility over the next 20 years of maintenance. Because this is such an advanced alloy steel, all this requires is a once per year wiping of a marine grade steel sealant, like you would wipe on boats that you don't want to decay in the ocean. Does that answer your question, sir?
So it's like a donation to the city, in effect.
That's exactly right, sir.
Think further.
That's all the questions.
Murad, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to close public hearing if we have a motion.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing's closed. Do we have a motion on action?
Motion to approve with the stipulation that we're gonna be piloting this and hopefully moving it around so that areas of the community.
Can I make one more comment, please? So the time, we have one of the stations next to Earth, actually, it won't be a station with the 7-foot beam, but on the ground, we wanted to do a time capsule. So reach out to the different schools and organizations that we've worked with in Brownsville, ask for drawings from kids and essays and things about how they imagine the future of Brownsville, put it into a time capsule to be brought back up 25 years later. We can talk about the nature of that, whether it's permanent or temporary. We can change the location or.
All right, okay, there's a motion on the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we've just been asked by IT if anyone up at the podium and anyone on the board just speak directly in the mic if you hands up. Yeah, thank you.
Item number 6, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action to open the public hearing for the quality of life applications for project number 25-003, Brownsville Tennis Center in the amount not to exceed $201,984.00 for tennis center repairs and court resurfacing.
Hello, my name is Jim Crushell.
I'm sorry.
I'm here with Tyrone Howard.
We have to open the public hearing, sir.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Oh, second.
Aye.
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 Pardon me. Looking for them. Okay, my name is Jim Crushell, and I'm a member of the Brownsville Tennis Center Board of Directors. With me, I have Tyrone Powers, our newly elected president, Terry Hoover, on board member, and also Chuck Vander, board member. Okay, so who we are representing the Brownsville Tennis Association. We are a nonprofit organization, 16 courts, 4 employees full-time with an office, couple of bathrooms, parking that are in there. We have a 12-member governing board, which helps to maintain the facility. Okay, and project description, we are asking for help with the repair and resurface of all 16 courts, which it says fencing and lighting as well, but we're partnering with Parks and Recs to try to take care of that. And so the expense we're focused on today is going to be just for the tennis courts. Tennis courts that get cracks and get weathered create numerous safety issues. And so replacing and resurfacing outdated court surfaces does make it safer for all of our participants, including students from elementary age through college age and all the adults that come. And we're talking about on a daily basis. We do have a large amount of people that come and participate. It's a fine facility, one of the best of its type, frankly, between here and San Antonio. Who benefits from the project? The project will help all tennis players, as I said, elementary, middle, high school. We do have college tournaments as well. We have all seniors coming through there. We have winter Texans quite a bit coming through, and the things that are listed there as well. Okay, so how does it help improve the quality of life? It's a neighborhood hub for healthy sports activity, which, as we all know, is very important in our overall health of our society. Again, we have numerous students that are coming and are scheduled. We have tennis socials. We have tennis tournaments. We encourage the entire community to come out and get involved in safe play and all the health benefits that goes with that. And how it contributes generally The cultural aspects are addressed through community socials, including our Charo Day social, Valentine's, Mother's Day, etc. And then all other forms of tournaments and socials that we have that go on during the year, including the Games of Texas, for those of you that might have been familiar with that. I know Parks and Rec was involved with that quite a bit. Measurable outcomes, jobs are created through tennis instruction, tennis tournaments, USTA league play. Attendance is documented through sign-in sheets at Brownsville Tennis Center, and that's how we know for sure, and we can give a count of how many people are going through and are serviced by the facility. The project scope, the key components, resurfacing the courts, removing, replacing the court fencing, and the LED lighting. All of those are necessary. Again, we're focusing on the courts. Timing, we start as soon as possible and hope to complete it within 6 to 8 months. The location is the Tennis Center, which might be a hidden gem to some of you if you're not familiar with it. It's right there in the Brownsville Event Center, and it's actually, again, a fine facility. Any partnerships or collaborations involved, we've been in contact with PID and USTA, and they have offered us a great amount of guidance and support. And the cost breakdown, you see the $201,000 that we're asking for, and then we have the matching funds of $50,000. Okay, and the matching funds secured, City of Brownsville and BTA. The tennis court fencing's been put on hold. That's the third in the 3 things that we need to go to keep the facility updated and flourishing. And budget categories, it's going to be supplied by Turning Track from Mercedes, Texas. Okay, resurfacing project has already started, or not started rather, but has all the necessary approvals, sorry, for an immediate start, and the plans are complete and ready to go in preparation. What we have started with is the cracks and imperfections. We've repaired as many of those as we can already in preparation for the entire resurfacing. Sustainability, the court resurfacing will be maintained by regular sweeping, washing, and cleaning as we go on. The court was built in 2001. It's been resurfaced 1 time in 2011. And so again, it's due for this at this point. Okay, we're open to the public and have an employee on site at all times, small fee for walk-in players, and we reach out to people through Facebook and through our website. Our success, again, is measured by the amount of people that come through and the different tournaments that I alluded to. And again, the project benefits all Brownsville residents, and tennis is a proven method for maintaining a fit and healthy lifestyle. We do have players that have played well into their 70s and 80s, and in fact, even into their 90s, because that's just, it's a way of life once you get involved playing tennis. And I can say that because I started playing tennis as an elementary kid myself. We didn't have a tennis center back then, so we would ride and try to get into a local school court or a community park court, and a lot of those aren't accessible. And for example, like in Oliveda Park, it's almost not playable anymore. So we are the facility that is available to help the city of Brownsville and to service the people of Brownsville.
Thank you. Is there more? Were you going to say something else?
No, I'm going to do the questions and answers.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions?
So what's the expected life of the refinishing?
Normally it goes 8 to 10 years.
And what was the last, you've come?
It was 13, 14 years ago, 2011.
And that, I think BCIC helped with that in the past, is that right?
I'm not sure on that. I'm sure you did.
Okay. Did we fully fund it or, okay. So generally it's 8 to 10 years is the life of the.
Yes, basically.
Thank you.
So I know we spoke, or Parks let us know about upcoming tennis tournaments that you might be able to attract here. When would presumably the first opportunity for that be?
If you're talking for the Valley and for Brownsville, it will be, our next tournament will be next week from now. We have district going to be played at the Tennis Center, 32-6A. Normally we host all the high school tournaments in Brownsville. We use the Tennis Center in Hannah, okay? And we host all the middle school tournaments at the tennis center. And Hannah.
Do you have your eye on any out-of-town tournaments that would attract players or visitors from out of town?
Well, we don't have Games of Texas. We have the Debbie Powers Memorial Tournament that we get players from San Antonio, Corpus, and all that. We're trying to get USTA to host sectionals. It's called Hosted in Brownsville. That's what we're trying to do. And we're also, the big plan is to bring a pro tournament here like we had back about 10 years ago.
I recall that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions? Murad, do you have any
No, I don't. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, for the public, on Saturdays and Sundays in the mornings and Saturdays in the afternoon, we offer free play. So we don't charge the public. So they can come in anytime and play.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to close public hearing if all the questions are done?
I'll make a motion to close public hearings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Can we have a motion for action on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item number 7, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-004, Children's Museum of Bronzeville in the amount not to exceed $73,840.00 for installation of an outdoor commercial awning.
Welcome.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome.
Hello, thank you all so much for the opportunity to showcase our project today. The CMB is asking for your help. I guess before I get to the presentation, I'd just like to mention a quick note. We are celebrating 20 years of service to the community, so a big accomplishment for the museum. The museum is asking for BCIC's help with the awning at the pavilion space. The museum has now seen over 70,000 visitors a year, which is a new record for us. This new space would be a transformation for the outdoor front-facing part of the pavilion space. It would increase the ability to have seating. It would have a new nice set of channel letters with our name on it. It would increase shade, not only for the people that use it on the exterior, but also for the front-facing part of the building, and would become a multi-purpose use space. It would increase comfort and then allow for people to use it when the museum's not in operation as well to the general public. So we're looking to add this awning for several reasons. Not only is it going to help provide shade towards the people that are underneath, but also the building itself. It'll also support people that are coming in from the rain. So what happens now is it's raining, like today, water's seeping through the doors because there's nothing to protect the doors. People are rushing in, have to close the umbrella, have to settle, and the lobby, as you all are aware, is not very large. This allows you to take a moment, close your umbrella, get into the space, and relax, right? And not have to rush in. So that's one of the big issues that we have. Excuse me. The other thing is that it supports local business. We'd like to partner with Main Street Deli to provide food service, prepackaged food service in the museum for guests to enjoy. We also don't have a place for them to sit to enjoy that food. So by having tables in this exterior space, they would buy the food inside and then be able to go out into that covered area and enjoy their snacks, meals, any kind of food. We have a pretty tight timeline, which was actually very good because we also have the Amelia Earhart project, which is underway. So this sort of coincides with that, which will allow us to sort of work on everything all at the same time with multiple vendors. It's obviously happening at our museum, and we do have partnerships that would be impacted by this project, not only Main Street and possibly the school district and other vendors that we work with that would be able to utilize this space and activate the front of the pavilion. Our total budget is 92,300. We are asking for 73,840, and the museum will match 18,460, which has been approved by our board of directors. Our vendors will work on permitting as well as design and plan and installation, and then we'll look forward to activating with the grand opening. We'll have long-term sustainability through budget allocation, regular maintenance and staffing to make sure the area is nice and looks good. So we are working to make not only the exterior cooler, but also the interior, create comfort and reduce liability. And then, of course, we want to make it a nice space for people to enjoy, even if they're not customers of the museum. Some of the metrics for success, we want to see community engagement, we want to track users, and then we want to also get some observational feedback and make sure that we can use it year-round. And that is pretty much it. This is the team that's working together to kind of get this project off the ground. Christian Diaz out of Tenzo McAllen, Eduardo Montemayor from Signs and More, myself and Hector would all be bringing efforts to the table.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes, I have a question. What's the size of the awning that you're planning to install?
I'm sorry.
What's the size of the awning? The size of the awning that
The size of the awning. So I don't have that specific, but I'm going to estimate that we're looking at about almost 2,500 square feet, maybe slightly larger, because it is almost the width of the front of the building, and then it has depth of probably 6 to 8 feet. Sorry, I don't have that specific, but I can send that to you guys as well.
Yeah, no worries. You did mention in the presentation there will be some activities. I'm just trying to kind of picture what kind of activities you're gonna accommodate under their space. I mean, 8 feet wide or even 10 feet wide is not as wide as, enough to accommodate different activities. As you
I
alluded to.
apologize, Murad.
He's questioning how you would spatially seat people there because it's not very wide.
Yes, so there is quite a bit of window space along either edge of the front doors. And so that is the general area where seating would kind of take place. We wouldn't necessarily obstruct the front doors themselves, but we want to take advantage of the sides where we currently have window graphics.
Did that answer your question, Murad?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What would be the capacity? I mean, it's once you install the seating.
I would estimate that there's probably going to be enough for a minimum of about 40 people on the low end. If you have sort of like a round table setup, you might have 5, 6 seats per table, something like that. So depending on how big the tables, once we are able to kind of get everything in place, we'll kind of determine how much space we'll have entirety for seating. At any given point in the museum on the interior, at least in the main building, has relatively 3 to 5 tables, and that's generally good space for moms and dads to do snack time. So adding these additional tables in the exterior of the pavilion should be sufficient to kind of balance the number of people that are trafficking the museum on a regular Saturday. Park attendance, right, that's always fluctuating, so you're not always going to have the right number of seating for them, but it should be sort of a leisurely space, right? There's also the other seating areas within the park that can kind of be utilized to rotate. Even if you're just a walker and you need just a minute, it should be a great place to just kind of take a sit.
So, sorry, I have a question. I mean, I'm trying to understand what's the need, like why we need that many seatings in front of the museum. Like what
I'm
prompted
sorry,
this?
Brad.
He's
Okay,
asking, he's asking what is the need for the seating? You want to go through that part again?
Why we need the seating?
Why do you
Yes.
need to put
The
tables
seating is
outside?
really actually just an additional benefit. The real benefit is the awning itself, because we need to not only protect the building, but also reduce liability into the building. So the awning is the primary, seating's sort of a secondary benefit to the project. And actually, the funding that we're requesting is not for the seating. That's just an added benefit.
I do have a question. So I don't have kids. My niece and nephews don't live here. But I love Main Street Deli. So do I have to be, if I wanted to just go pick up food because I was at the zoo or because, whatever reason, I wanted to take a walk at the park, I got hungry, something happened. I'm like, how do you, like the partnership with Main Street Deli, like how is that gonna work? I understand it's prepackaged food, but would you have to be an attendee of the Children's Museum in order to enjoy that benefit?
No. So admission to the museum does require you to have a child with you. That's a very big one for us. But our lobbies are open to the general public. Actually, we do get quite a bit of guests that, teenagers, couples that are just like, hey, I need a water or I need a drink or whatever. So you would definitely be able to come in, grab a sandwich and take your lunch outside for sure.
I do think that's an added benefit. I think a lot of people who go to the zoo are looking for places to eat.
Right.
And so I think that's, to me, the most attractive part of this project.
So I'm gonna try to speak as loud as I can. I don't have issue with the ask. I think it's just kind of deceiving to bundle everything else because of this. Like without the awning, we still can do these kind of services. So the benefit of what's been asked today is to basically create an awning so we can protect the entrance and make it much more convenient for people to go in and out of the museum. That's the direct and the most accurate impact of what they're asking for today. The additional benefits that he's speaking about are all great, but they're not related directly to what they're asking for. I hope that went through. I don't know if you can hear me, Dr. Gao.
It's not, I don't think you're really asking a question. You're making a comment this time, Murad, correct?
Yes. I
That's-
just want to clarify, like they're asked about the awning in particular, and that's fine, but that has nothing to do with adding all these, benefits about the food and the beverages. That's great, right? I just want to clarify that, like, your ask is about the awning, and the reason for that is because you want to protect the entrance.
He's just making a comment. He's saying the real purpose for the awning is really to protect the entrance and people, blah, blah, that you already said, and the food is secondary. Thank you. Other questions?
Motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Public hearing's closed. Can we have a motion regarding action on this item?
Motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion
Abstain.
passes. Motion passes. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Item number 8, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-005 West Brownsville Little Lee in the amount not to exceed $189,102.00 for a shaded pavilion and park improvements.
Welcome.
Council, I have a question. So if, right now, Mr. Chavez and myself will be sworn in to another city board later this evening. And I'm wondering if I have to abstain from this one because there may be a conflict. This city board is the Paseo de la Resaca.
Are you on the board right now?
No, but we've been appointed and then we are going to be sworn in later this evening.
What? I think if you're gonna be on the board, you probably ought to abstain.
All right. Thank you.
Do we need to open?
I
Nope.
believe, I'm not sure, but I thought I was told by Deborah that, or actually, I'm sorry, by the auditors that if you have a conflict, then you have to leave during that agenda item.
So I can go in the back?
Yeah.
And do we have to open public comment each and every time? Can't we just keep it open? We have to do it every time. Okay, got it. All right, did we do it?
Motion to open public hearing.
All in favor? Aye. Go ahead, welcome.
Thank you very much for entertaining my request. I'm here on behalf of West Brownsville Little League. West Brownsville Little League has the distinction of being the oldest youth sports league in continuous operation in Brownsville. We've been in existence since 1952, and with the exception of the COVID year where we had to stop, we've never stopped. We've always been around. We started in 1952. In 1962, we came into possession of the park that we're currently at, which is located on Cottonwood Drive. And it didn't belong to us, but it belonged to the Methodist Church. They partnered with us back then to get a league going, and they would run the concession stand, and West Brownsville Little League would run all the activities. That worked very well for about 30-something years until the 1990s. I'm not sure of the date, but the Methodist Church said, well, we're going to go ahead and turn our park over to the city of Brownsville. So it became a city of Brownsville asset. And we were put into the deed that we would be permanent residents of that park. So we've taken ownership of the park in the sense that even though the park doesn't belong to us, we treat it like it's our park, and we try to beautify the park and keep it pretty and keep it, trash picked up, and report any things to the park department that need to be fixed, etc. Back in 2018, you guys helped us renovate the park. We put in new fields, and then we created a brand new field that is the only field that I know of in the valley, which is designed for kids with special needs. And it's got like a concrete substrate so that kids with walkers and wheelchairs can walk it without tripping and falling. Today, I'm here to talk about our phase two. Our phase two includes some of the items that you have listed there, a pavilion with ADA tables and chairs, some trees with accompanying irrigation, major field dugout. Our major fields are made out of these concrete blocks. And so it gets very dark in there for night games. And so we want to put in some solar lights into those dugouts. Our Challenger field, which is the new field that I mentioned earlier, it is in need of a couple extra lights, 2 or 3 extra lights, to fully enlighten that place. We'd like to replace our backfield backstops or our infield backstops, which are these red kind of cushy things that cushion the ball and have our logo on it. And then we'd like to place some special needs statues near our flagpoles. Today, before I continue, I'd like to recognize a couple of people that are here with me. If you guys could stand, please. I have Joe Camacho, our president, and Joe Salazar, our treasurer. I've been a member of West Brownsville Little League for 32 years. I played there as a child. I've been an active parent. I've been a coach. I've been an all-star coach. I've been the president of the league. I've done pretty much everything. And I don't foresee myself ever leaving. That's how much of a passion I have for West Brownsville Little League. As far as the quality of life benefits are concerned, we believe that the addition of the pavilion will give teams and families a place to congregate after games. And this will be especially beneficial to kids with special needs because, as you know, and some of you saw me walking with a cane, it's really tough to get around. It's really tough. And for kids that are on walkers and wheelchairs, it's tough to take them different places. So if we have a pavilion there for them, well, we also have them being able to join us in these ADA compatible tables so they can join for pizza parties and things like that that we have after their games. Our primary goal is to make our place more engageable so that children after their games can have a place to hang out and have a place to play and not leave, because we know once they leave, they turn on their video games and they turn on their, stuff at home, and we want to keep them engaged. Our physical location is 1295 Cottonwood Drive, which is off of Old Dallas Road and right behind the fire station. As I mentioned, the key components of our project are our pavilion, our statues, our lighting, our backstops, our trees, irrigation. Our timeline is we'd like to get all this done within about 8 months. We were told that the pavilion has to be ordered and the statues have to be ordered, so we got to give the vendors some time to construct them and then to come out and put them up for us. Our lighting and backstops should be in a little quicker, as well as our trees and irrigation. The people that we are collaborating with to get this project done are the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Beautification Committee. The total project cost is $236,000. We are requesting approximately 80% of that, $189,102 from BCIC. That falls into $193,000, $193,502 in labor, and $43,100 in, I should say, $193,000 in materials and $43,000 in labor.
Sorry, we're at time, I think, for the presentation. Right? Okay, sorry, yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
We
Is that the end of your presentation?
No, I have more, but I got going a little bit too much about my passion for West Brownsville Little League. If you want me to continue, I can continue.
The 5 minutes is up?
Yeah, I
5
thought there
minutes?
was a.
Okay,
that's what I
so
was-
let's,
that's what-
let's see what kind of questions we have. Any questions?
So I'm curious, what's driving the pavilion as one of the top projects? I would imagine, is there not a place to eat there currently, or?
No, we have some wooden picnic tables out there that are kind of scattered around, but we don't really have a central location where kids can get together and have their pizza parties or hot dog parties or whatever they have after games. And we thought, well, having at least a small pavilion will give our kids a place to congregate after games.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I was trying to envision it. So then, obviously, we know Brownsville's pretty hot, so having that shade, it's going to help.
Of course, that's another big benefit, is to having a shaded place.
It could even be a safety issue, right? I mean, you're playing out there in the sun and you want them to kind of take a break. Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chavez, first of all, thank you for your time and commitment. I know I've seen you there at the West Brownsville Park for years, so thank you for that. Just a quick question. I mean, I drive by every day. I live near the area. My question is obviously this is probably, one of the nicest baseball parks that we have in our communities. But I mean, isn't parking a challenge there? How do you guys deal with that? I mean, the parking issue, it seems that there's very limited spaces.
The parking issue. Actually, the parking issue has improved a whole lot. Before we got involved in 2018 to ask to renovate our park, we just had caliche parking lots, which to me was absurd that, an inner city park, we're limited on our park space, but our inner city park had caliche parking lots. So back in 2018, when we had our renovation, our phase one, we actually had all our parking lot paved. And it looks really, really nice. So right now, as we speak, parking is not really an issue. When we get into our all-star season, which is June and July, when we have out-of-town guests come from throughout really South Texas, it does get a little bit tight. Yeah, it can get a little bit tight, but we make do. We make do, and it's our park, and we don't see us moving because we just have a passion for that place.
You got it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I moved back home 30 years ago, and my boys were only temporarily interested in in baseball. But when we did go out there, you did such a wonderful job, and I do remember one of your last big fundraisers. You do an excellent job. I have nothing but good things to say about your organization and what you do there. Have you worked with or spoken to our city forester? We have a new city forester now that's working with Brownsville Beautification Committee to talk about the
We've
shade
committed that
trees.
our city forester, our city of Brownsville forester is going to be the one selecting the trees
Perfect.
that are part of this phase 2 project.
He's very talented, so I'm glad.
Yep.
Raj, do you have any questions?
Just curious about the scale of the pavilion. Like, do we have a dimension for it?
Oh, scale, the size of the pavilion?
The size of the pavilion is approximately 60 by 20, I believe, 60 by 20 or 25. No, 64 by 24.
Awesome. Thank you.
So it's not huge, but it'll accommodate, 40 to 50 players.
Yeah.
Is it also, I guess, expandable in the future and maybe down the road?
I think that the problem with our park is that it's a small park. And so when kids go out there to play, they need a place to warm up and throw the ball with each other and stuff. So conscientiously, we'd love to have a much, much bigger pavilion, but we don't want to take away from the green space, right? Why? Because our kids use that green space. And so just having a small pavilion will fit our needs.
I have a question that's kind of related to Cesar's. I have some cousins' kids who play, and it's been fun to go watch them, but I do think that there's a bit of a parking issue. It's a bit of a challenge, and even like crossing the street can feel sketchy when there's so much traffic and you have your games going on. So I think your project looks good, but I'm curious, do you have any like bike parking areas in your plans or currently on site? I know that Old Alice Road is accessible for cyclists. There's some share roads there, and that neighborhood is pretty low speeds. And so, again, you have a great diverse age of people participating. I think you have some people who are just kind of there to support their families, which is great, a great community space. But again, how can we kind of alleviate the parking concerns and that congestion that you see in those neighborhoods by promoting walking and biking here? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to have a solution for that. I just don't know what the solution would be to alleviate the parking issues. But I can tell you, as I said earlier, parking is not really an issue. It only becomes an issue when we have these out of town, tournaments where people come in the months of June and July. That's when it becomes an issue. But I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah, I'm speaking from experience. And so I guess I'm just hoping maybe you throw in like a $500 bike rack or like a couple of areas where you can encourage that so that people who might want to walk or bike, I think the Parks Department is kind of nodding that they could probably pitch that in. But when you have those spaces where people can lock up and go play and go watch a game and feel comfortable, I think that would encourage alternative modes of transportation to your site.
Okay.
I mean, if I choose to go watch a game, but I'd choose to ride my bike. Is there a secure place to lock my bike?
There is not a bike place to lock it unless you lock it next to one of our fences. We have a lot
So
of
maybe in the
fences,
future you can
fence
think
areas
about
that
a
you can
bike
lock.
rack is what Eva's saying.
A bike rack would be nice. Okay. According to our park advisor here, he said we'll be having one here in the next few weeks.
Excellent. Now we'll all ride our bikes down to the next game.
Amen.
I think we should encourage it. I mean, you have so many people. I think it'd be great to see.
It is a very slow speed in that neighborhood, so it's very easy.
Motion to close public
Any
hearing.
other questions before we close public hearing?
Motion to close.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? Motion, public hearing's closed. Motion to approve,
So-
to act?
So moved, I move to approve this project.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And note that Mark abstained. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have to abstain from this one, so I will be stepping out from this item.
Okay. How are we with quorum?
Okay, yeah.
How are we with quorum if all three of them are out? Mark's coming back?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we're okay? I don't think it counts for a quorum. Okay.
We're good.
We need a motion to open public hearing?
Oh,
Second.
I was concerned that if three of them got up and left, we would not have quorum. But one of them came back, so we're good.
All right, item number 9, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-006, Community Development Corporation of Brownsville, in the amount not to exceed $20,000 to install a Flexbox module multipurpose room.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, BCIC Board. Thank you all for being here today and having us. My name is Doreen Farrar. I'm the Program Director for CDCB Youth
Sorry,
Build.
one moment. We need a motion to open.
I'll make a motion to open public
I
hearing.
thought we did. Okay, second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No.
Aye.
Okay, go ahead.
So my name is Doreen Farrar. I'm the Director for CDCB Youth Build, and it's an honor to share this exciting next phase of our program, a site expansion that would allow us to continue empowering the young people here in Brownsville, Texas. So CDCB, or Come Dream Come Build, has been serving the city of Brownsville since 1974. As a nonprofit community housing development organization, our mission is to provide safe, sanitary, and affordable housing to low-income families. But beyond housing, we firmly believe that affordable housing, financial security, and education create wealth that sticks, not just for families, but for entire communities. And as one of my students said when I was running this through with them, he said, it's a second chance for all of us. And he wanted me to say that to you guys. So Youth Build since 1996 has been empowering Brownsville residents, young people, with pathways to economic mobility from the ages of 16 to 24 who have disengaged from the traditional model of schooling. This last year, we serviced approximately 40 young people, providing a comprehensive, no-cost program that offers GED instruction, hands-on training, including construction training, welding training, CNC machining training. They also get OSHA trained Microsoft Office specialists. And then, of course, the supportive services that address barriers to success. And that's also coupled with a 12-month follow-up case management after graduation. All of these services are provided free of charge, and we want to ensure that that cost is never a barrier to our young people. So great program, and we've seen tremendous growth in this program over the past few years. In 2022, we serviced 29 students, and by 2024, we were up to 43. So the demand is very high here in the city of Brownsville. Since 2020, we've added CNC machining, welding tracks, and expanded those offerings to meet this growing demand for skilled workers in the region. However, this growth has truly outpaced our current facilities. We have currently no dedicated classroom welding space, and that space constraints are affecting both student learning and project completion timelines. So to continue delivering quality education and training, we need to expand our space. And so what we're proposing is this facility expansion would include a Flexbox module to meet this need. And it's a 253 square foot Flexbox module that we would add to our site. And we would be using CDCB's Dream Build module, which is our volumetric modular housing department, manufacturing department. to include a 12-foot by 24-foot multi-purpose room that would provide that additional classroom space to accommodate our growing enrollment. This expansion would truly enhance learning environments and allow us to better serve our students by offering that space for hands-on training and leadership development. It's going to take us approximately from the time we prepare our site to the time we complete it. We're estimating anywhere from 6 months to 8 months to complete this project. And as was already mentioned, this is going to cost us, we're requesting $20,000 from BCIC, with CDCB providing $10,000 to a total project cost of $30,000. And I really want to mention and highlight the community benefit, which is every dollar invested in Youth Build generates real measurable benefits for our community because they are receiving this personalized training for their high school equivalency alongside the trades. But not just that, they are receiving these stackable credentials that really translate into the workforce. And that's really what we're trying to do, is generate economic mobility here in Brownsville, Texas. And so we want to break the cycles through the poverty cycle through certification and career pathways. And just to give you guys a gaze of what it is we're doing. For welders, cutters, and brazers in Brownsville, the median wage is $40,000. For CNC tool operators, the median wage is $39,000 per year. In contrast, the average per capita income in Brownsville is at $19,000. And so you can see the huge benefit that this program brings to our community. Thank you so much. I want to thank you guys for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
So the space you're looking to build out is 250 square feet, more or less?
Correct. Yes.
Nick Mitchell, CDCB, I'm CEO. I can also add that wasn't on the slide is that the students will be building this themselves. So not only is the $20,000 just going toward materials only, because the labor will be produced by the students as well as our operators at our factory.
Just a quick question. So in regards to students, do you guys have like an MOU with, Brownsville ISD, or who do you guys work with the most, I guess was my question.
So we do co-enroll with Brownsville ISD Adult Continuing Education. They are actually one of our grantors as well. So we do work with them directly, yes, to answer that question.
Thank you.
We also work with United Way. We have an anonymous donor, the Department of Labor, and AmeriCorps.
How many students do you usually have?
This last fiscal year, we had 42 students, and we were averaging in the past 29 students. So we've seen a huge jump. And this year, we're projecting to have 60 students for this fiscal year.
Great.
We enroll them in cohorts.
Right. Terrific. Any other questions? Murad, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Motion to close public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is
Motion to
closed.
approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
Item number 10, public hearing and consideration, discussion, and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-007, Tipple Tex Little Miss Kickball, in the amount not to exceed $216,000.00 for park improvements at Oliveta Park.
Good evening. My name is Janie.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
We need a motion to open.
Motion to approve.
Second. No.
To open, I
I'm
apologize.
glad it's not just me. And a second, everyone in favor? Aye.
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 Go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Janie Shears, and I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. Okay. I am president of Tipple Tex Little Miss Kickball. I don't know if you're familiar with Little Miss Kickball. It's an organization that provides an after-school sport for young ladies from the age of 4 years old to 18. Little Miss Kickball originated in Corpus and consists of 15 leagues in Alice, Austin, Brownsville, Corpus Christi, Dallas, and Robstown. We were established in 1976. Little Miss, our Pee-wee division is 4 to 8 years old. This is all girls, females. And our junior division is from 9 to 11 years old. Our senior division is from 12 to 14 years old. Our teenage division is from 15 to 18 years old. Back in 2004, we applied for a grant from BCIC to help us with scoreboards and to help us with some improvements to the league. We are asking for improvements to our league for bleachers that are much needed. We have 4 fields, and those 4 fields have a section for the home and the visitor area for the spectators. This year, or every year, we have an annual tournament, which is held in April, and then we host a Pee-wee All-Star Tournament in May. However, this year in June, on June 26th through the 29th, we will be hosting an All-Star State Tournament. 45 teams will be playing at the Oliveda Park kickball fields. The opening ceremonies for that event open on Thursday. The event runs from Friday through Sunday. Like I mentioned, it's 45 teams. They're all coming from far away as Dallas, Austin, Corpus, and they will be housing their players, their spectators. We are to have over 1,000 people at our park. Our bleachers are much needed. We need bleachers, we need shades to provide housing for this, our spectators. And we also need a scoreboard. And the city is working with us in providing us with that. But more than anything, we need our bleachers to be able to house the number of people that we are going to be housing during this event. In closing, I just hope that you consider this and think about the future of these little girls from 4 to 18. And for us to be bringing also revenues to the city of Brownsville with the number of teams that are going to be coming throughout those cities. So I ask for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions?
My question is related to your fields. A while ago, maybe about a year ago, the city of Brownsville held a sports town hall, I think like a league town hall. And if I recall, some of the public comments that I heard were concerns about these fields in particular. And maybe, but not your bleachers, not the shade structures, not kind of like that outside piece, but the field itself. So maybe this is more of a question for Mr. De Palma, but the question is, what kind of investments are being done on the fields themselves to ensure that the people that you're talking about and these tournaments that you want to host and the individuals that play here are, you know, playing on the best field that they can and sort of, you know, ensuring that?
We are a nonprofit organization. All of our people are volunteers.
Okay.
All of them. However, we have the support from the city of Brownsville, and they help us maintain those fields. And I got to tell you one thing, those fields are cared 24/7. Okay. They are. And again, we have the support from the city. The city helps us out with the equipment.
Sure.
And we maintain our fields.
Yeah.
There
The
is very,
safety
very good.
concerns, yeah, the safety concerns I heard were, I know for this field, they were about a year ago. So I don't know, Sean, if you could kind of let us know.
Sean De Palma, Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Brownsville. So to kind of keen on what you're speaking of, specifically with these fields, very recently in the last 5 to 6 months, we met our organizations, we strategized, and we came up with an action plan. And since then, renovation of those fields for the time frame and coming out of operational budget because it wasn't a capital project. And we started working in conjunction with each other. In addition to that, prior to this tournament coming in, we have a blitz day set up where they're going to bring the Little Miss Kickball is going to bring volunteers from their coaches and their families. We're going to bring our staff in, and then we're going to do painting and some of the, I'm going to say the aesthetics. But the field maintenance has ramped up. Would you not say that? After we had our meetings and we dedicated a strategy to it. In addition to that, our staff, in-house staff is going to be refurbishing the score tables and the stands. What do you call them exactly? Score boxes, sorry, and doing fence repairs and so forth. So we are putting a valid effort towards getting ready for the tournament. But yes, we did hear what was said at that. And we're slowly moving towards that. We're renovating bathrooms there, as you know. We're putting a brand new bathroom and other investments in that area.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear, make sure that we had that.
Yes, I do want to reiterate on what he was just saying. The city has been very supportive. In fact, when we wanted to bid for this tournament, because we have to bid for it, and we have to tell them we have the facilities, I called Mr. De Palma and I asked, will I have your support? Day one, he's been there. What else do you need? What else do we need? You know, this is bringing much revenue to the city. Much revenue. We travel yearly, so whenever we get to bring it in, that helps us save money and not put money into another city, rather put it into the city of Brownsville. So I just want to say that. And one of the things, you know, when you have the support from the city, which I did, that's the reason why, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And like I said, this is all volunteer work. Oh, none of not even the umpires get paid.
That's why we just want to.
In other leagues, they do get paid. Like, you know, umpires get paid for umpiring. Our umpires do not. Do not. All is volunteer.
Yes,
I just
go
want
ahead.
to clarify one more thing. I'm sorry. The ask is for the bleachers. The city has, after we had discussions, we want to streamline the ask of the league. So we took on replacing, and they have already been ordered. They may have been here yet. I'm not sure. I had to check with my staff, but they're going to be here shortly, if not already landed and mounted. So they're going to get the scoreboards replaced prior to the tournament and sometime in the next couple of weeks. So the ask is for the bleachers strictly.
Yes.
Okay. Mark?
So this is a replacement of the existing 8 bleachers?
Yes.
And how many people does that seat?
There are 8 bleachers, a total of 8 bleachers, 2 bleachers for each field. We have a total of 4 fields, so it's 2. The bleachers are with shade.
They currently
Or,
have shade.
yeah,
but
on
those
that.
are
Not have shades. The ones we're purchasing, that we plan to purchase are going to have shades. So we're adding that amenity to the site. And that was something that was asked of the league and their constituents.
Yes.
I have a question. Aside of the tournament, are these fields open to the public? Are they accessible all, 12 months?
I'm sorry,
Are the tournaments, are games open to the public?
No,
Yes.
outside of the tournament, like, are these fields
fields-
open? Like,
Oh,
are people able to
so when
access
you're
these
not having a
fields?
game,
Yes,
can,
we use the fields from January through June, and then the city leases the property to other, for the general.
so if there's no game and I want to just go kick a ball around with my child, I can do that?
We lease the property. So we have the property is from January through June.
Okay, so then
season.
after
The
June, you can.
No,
we can't.
no, we don't have any, no, the city is able to. However, we do continue to maintain the fields.
Okay. Mark, did you have another question?
And so how many people can sit in each bleacher unit? Like how many people?
Okay, the league right now, the season, we have close to 300 girls in our league.
No, he's asking
Like-
how many people can be seated on one of
It's
the
a
bleacher
five-tier.
units?
It's 5 tiers, so you're at roughly 90 people. I'm gonna say 100, but it's really, let's say 90
Okay.
people. And then times 8, so you're talking about 720 roughly.
And the owner of those bleachers is the city, is that right?
Yes, everything that is on city property, if it's obtained by grant or donation, once it comes on city property, belongs to us, and then we maintain it going forward from there. So you
Okay.
cannot anchor a statue that got donated and it remain in the organization. It becomes ours, such as Mr. Amigo is city property.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add to that also? I do want to say that in previous years, our league has requested grants from other agencies. In fact, State Farm gave us an amount of $20,000 that we were able to work on some bathrooms for the girls. And again, like he was saying, that city property, we just lease it, but whatever improvements we make with their approval, it belongs to them.
There was a question over here?
Actually, my question is likely for parks. So I have 2 young boys. I'm at that park Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and my boys play Boysa on Saturday. But I guess my question is, I've never seen a lot of activity on those fields. Is it just seasonal?
Yes,
Because
yes.
there's just not a lot of movement. The soccer fields are always full all the time, but I rarely see activity or movement there. Again, I'm just curious.
Our games are in the evening and they run from 6:15. And I think the latest game is 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. And so then afterwards, after the games are held for all those girls that we're talking about, those, the peewees, the juniors, seniors, and teenagers. Then afterwards, our coaches, who are volunteers, they water and they drag and water the fields to maintain them. And that's, it takes everyone to help out. But we do take great pride in maintaining those fields.
And your season is January through June, did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Those times that you're there?
If you're asking if, how is this going to help in the future, we will be able to bid for the state tournament again and again and again. It's a lot of work, but we will be able to, because that also helps us in having to spend money to take the girls to Austin or to take the girls to Robstown, to take the girls to Dallas. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Tracy? Rod, do you have any questions?
I have a question to the parks. Are these fields already been, the lighting has been updated for these fields already? The lights.
Lighting.
The lighting. Yes, we just got.
We just got new lighting. That was the Musco project that
yeah.
the city invested. So that was, I know, BCIC asked prior about what are the supporting projects that are going in that same region of the facility. We just installed brand new lighting within the last 4 months.
Yes.
Yes. So.
And there are 2 fields. Where are the location of the fields again? Oliveda?
It's 4 fields. They're located at the Oliveda Park.
And so in the whole city, those are the fields that you have. Didn't you say you had 8? No.
No,
8 bleachers.
8 bleachers.
8 bleachers.
Yes.
There is a similar league that runs in Morningside.
That's what I was confused with.
So when we went through this venture, we made sure that we purchased scoreboards for both of the programs, both at Morningside and the Tipito, Texas ladies.
Motion to close public hearing?
We need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for action?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 11, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 008, Brownsville Society for Crippled Children Incorporated, DBA Moody Clinic, in the amount not to exceed $28,733.69 for the installation of an outdoor mural and lighting. We need a motion to open.
Go ahead.
Yeah, motion to open, discussion on item number 11.
And second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Eric Morales, and I'm the COO for Moody Clinic. And with me, I have Sammy Jo Cienfuegos, and she is the development manager. We come to you today to kind of finalize our expansion project and kind of just wanting to kind of round out with the successes that we've had this last year and just closing out this year. And one of the things that we've wanted to go ahead and ensure that we had proper stuff to the outside. So one of the things, the building was, obviously we did renovations to the inside, and we did the expansion of the parking lot, and then we have some landscaping that was done to the front of the building, but we want to propose to have a mural placed in the side of the building to kind of coincide with what's happening in the downtown area and kind of bring that over to our area of the Buena Vida area that we are currently in. I want to go ahead and pass it over to Sammy Jo, and she's going to go ahead and go thoroughly through the project.
So at Moody Clinic, we aim to make our services as accessible to children in need as possible. We also work to ensure our facility is as accessible for children with all different needs so that they can navigate around the clinic safely and confidently. We would love to share our mission with the rest of the community in the form of a mural. As Eric said earlier, we are proposing that we install a mural by a local artist, Alejandra Zertuche, that will visually represent our core goals and mission, which will create a memorable and impactful landmark in our community. The proposed mural will bring life into our building that holds so much history. The mural will be installed on the side of our building near Lincoln Street, which will be seen by those driving across the US Highway 77, which will maximize visibility and engagement. We also plan to install new lighting on that same wall adjacent to Lincoln Street. Currently, it is not very well lit and it's surrounded by brush, which can lead to accidents when people are exiting our clinic or traveling through the neighborhood. We have several organizations surrounding us. Some include the New Horizon Medical Center, Lincoln Park High School, and the Citrus Gardens Annex property. The enhanced lighting would greatly benefit the community by, again, reducing accidents, increasing accessibility, and preventing crime as well. Both of these project elements will help instill a sense of community pride in the community we serve and also follow the downtown Brownsville area's lead in installing more and more local art. Okay, this is our budget. Of course, our total project cost will come up to $35,917.12. We are asking for $28,733.69. The match will be coming from our upcoming taco trail on April 5th. Which has historically brought in over 40,000, so we are confident that we will receive those matching funds. I'm going to skip ahead just because I'm running a little bit out of time. So the great thing about our project is that it won't only benefit our patients, it will truly benefit the entire surrounding community and the greater city of Brownsville. We are excited to create a focal point that will bring life to the neighborhood we serve. In addition to the increased accessibility and safety that will come from the additional lighting, the lights will also ensure our mural is visible at night as well. While the proposed upgrades will benefit Moody Clinic patients and the surrounding area, it will also benefit pedestrians who frequent the area by ensuring they have a well-lit path that is safe for them to travel through. Once our mural and light installation are complete, we plan to host a ribbon cutting in partnership with the Brownsville Chamber of Commerce. Art helps shape people's perception of public spaces, and we believe that our mural will help not only our patients and their families feel empowered, but also the surrounding neighborhood. Specifically for our patients, art can serve as a calming tool. The visual stimuli can help our patients focus their attention and reduce anxiety, creating a more calming learning environment. When people view art, their brain releases dopamine and endorphins, which basically just means that viewing art makes us happy. We would love the opportunity to make our patients' visit to our clinic an even more enjoyable experience for them. And as I said before, bring joy, empowerment, and pride to the surrounding community. Thank you for your time and listening to our presentation. We are ready to take some questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I'll kick it off. Do you guys, or does the artist have a concept yet of what the mural might look like?
So we've shared sort of our mission and what we'd like to see in the mural, which we want our patients to feel represented in the art itself, but the artist is still very much in the concept phase. We will need to finalize the design with her if we are approved for funding, and then the design would be approved by a board of directors.
Questions?
Motion to close public hearing.
Wait, Murad, do you have any questions? Is Murad still on? Okay, hearing none.
I have just a
Yes,
mini
I'm
model.
on. Sorry for that. I don't have question. Thank you.
Hey, yes, Tracy.
Not so much a question, maybe as a statement. I think initially when I would think about public art on a medical facility, it seems a little, soft and squishy, maybe, not very impactful. But that thought has changed for me as a patient at MD Anderson. And every time I walk into the Mays Clinic for my frequent appointments, I see the amazing Tree of Life, which is a huge art installation where you enter the clinic. And I see so many people kind of gaze at that and sigh and take pictures. And it's almost like it helps them prepare themselves for the experience of whatever they're going to go through that day. And so when I was reading your proposal, it made me think about that and thinking about the people coming into the parking lot and getting out and maybe not knowing what they're going to be facing that day, but seeing a vision of hope on that wall could really set the stage for maybe even better clinical outcomes. It just, everything changed because of the Tree of Life for me. So I hope that your patients have the same impact from the art that you're going to do.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Tracy.
If hearing no further questions, we need a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And we need a motion. for
Motion to
action.
approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Can't wait to see the final design.
Item number 12, public hearing and consideration, discussion and action for the quality of life application for project number 25-009, Brownsville Housing Opportunity Corporation, in the amount not to exceed $9,035.00 for a community garden at the Poinciana Gardens.
Sorry, motion to open public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, welcome.
Good evening. My name is Ana Trejo. I'm here to talk about the community garden, whose name is Buena Vida at Poinciana Gardens. And I'm representing the Housing Authority of the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Housing Opportunity Corporation. The project overview is to enhance the community garden at the Poinciana Garden site, following the residents' suggestions and comments. Through funds obtained, the residents will benefit and enjoy an improved garden. The community impact, the site promotes improving the quality of life for the residents by providing them with a space where they can access fresh food with nutritional value and incorporate physical activity into their daily lives. One of our next steps in that particular community garden is to encourage the residents that are already using it and harvesting to take it a step further and take their produce to the farmer's market. The project scope is essentially getting more shaded areas, seating, and picnic tables, and of course the lighting. The the Housing Authority does have a third-party management company for that property. They're the ones that maintain the garden itself. We just replaced the raised beds that we have there, which is 14 of them, because the previous material got corroded. So that improvement to the community garden made the residents more excited to being in the area. However, some of the comments that I would hear is there's not enough shading. So that's our ask essentially. We're asking for $9,000 to make those improvements. It would be 4 solar lights, the 2 picnic tables, and an additional bench. Long-term sustainability. The community garden was created because the residents expressed they wanted a community garden when we were doing the Buena Vida Choice Neighborhood Transformation Plan. This community garden was funded by BHOC. The community garden is solely led by the residents. HACB and BHOC staff are the ones that facilitate the programming together with Brownsville Wellness Coalition and AgriLife Extension. The community garden benefits the residents who reside in the apartments and the surrounding community. Potentially, the community garden can be accessed by 298 families, which is the people that live in the Ponciera Garden site and the families that live in the Tropical Gardens apartments, which is they're right next to each other. That's not counting the community itself, which is along the families that live in the neighborhood on McDavitt. This community garden is on the corner of McDavitt and Roosevelt. Ponciera Gardens itself is a gated community. However, the community garden has access, is able to be accessed by the community itself, the surrounding community. Our metrics for success obviously is we want more people to be using the community garden. Right now, like I mentioned, we do have 14 raised beds and 8 beds on the ground. They have more than 15 vegetables and fruits that they're harvesting right now, and there's 6 trees: citrus, lemons, pomegranates. They have mango trees and they have avocado trees as well. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll answer them now.
I have a question. Have you kept track, like you mentioned, the number of vegetables? Are you able to keep track of the volume that's grown from, let's say, each individual raised bed? For instance, can you say it's how many bushels or?
We're not tracking that right now, but I can share that it is a bountiful of crops that they're harvesting. They do share it with the community because it's too much of it. And I always see the lady, our lead gardener, with her bags. She's like, I already harvested this, I'm gonna go pass it around. And then our older adults, they do have the Golden Club, and they do cook what they're harvesting for the residents that are older adults and Saturday breakfast, and that's where they share it as well. But that's a good idea. I will talk about it with my team so we can start doing that, because I know it is.
It's good to know, but it's also great when you're looking at future grants, you can document how much you actually grew. And if your people do choose to sell the vegetables at the farmer's market, which is terrific, we know how much they made out of the Tres Angeles garden per week. It would be nice to track how much they earn if they're willing to share that with you from their own plot.
We'll definitely do that.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My name is Carla Manchin. I'm the CEO for the Housing Authority and also BHOC. And I do want to echo what she says. Yes, the families share what they grow. And this community garden is actually our second one. So we have the other one, Esperanza, next to Tangelo. And because it is, this is an amenity that's in high demand as we're planning our our communities. The new Buena Vida, the one that we are currently right now moving towards closing, will also have a community garden because we are redeveloping the 6th city block of Buena Vida. So that will also have a community garden.
Terrific. And I would encourage you to keep in contact with BWC because they just started a CSA program. So every you know what I'm talking about, right? Every 2 weeks you get a box of vegetables, whatever is in season. So right now there's like carrots, Swiss chard, onions, sprouts, greens, and some other stuff, radishes and cilantro. Anyway, your folks could theoretically get paid for contributing some of their excess to be put into those CSA boxes, which is nice.
I would talk to Juan about it.
Oh, and one last thing, sorry, this is one of my passions. Couple years back, remember Dr. Salas was here from UCSD, the arguably, not arguably, the world's most famous in physical activity. And he met with your board at your offices and asked questions. And one of the things that your folks said was that they wanted lighting so that they could work in the gardens at night, remember, because it was so hot out in the summer. And all of us were floored because we never thought of that. And yet, of course, we don't live there, but you do. So the area is lit, where the community is.
Right now it is lit, but they did ask for additional lighting.
Okay.
We have like one post right now, and that's why of the solar lights.
Terrific.
I want to kind of add a little bit.
I'm done.
Number one, Carla, Anna, you both have been with the organization. I see the loyalty, I see the commitment, and your clients, the individuals, the communities you work with definitely participate, engage, come to city events. And so I think that, you create a wonderful community for them. A couple of things I'm thinking as I look at your proposal is, number one, it's pretty low. I thought $9,000 was a low ask. I kind of want to see if there's a $20,000, if we could fund 20,000 instead. And the reason why I'm saying that is because while you don't have the connectivity right now, this project Poinciana is on Roosevelt and McDavid. And the Southmost Nature Trail will be connecting to the historic Battlefield Trail via Roosevelt and McDavid. And I would love one day to use the Housing Authority property to connect to Boca Chica Boulevard and maybe create a crossing over there, because to me, the area around Oliveda and Egley Elementary they don't have a lot of walking areas or public spaces. And so that also relates to your community. And so when I think about the improvements for the trail system and how your community garden is just so perfectly located for that kind of engagement, and we know the ownership and the buy-in that you have from your residents. I just kind of think I looked at the budget amount, and I looked at the amount of, 8 foot. I think Murad kind of mentioned that's not a lot of space. And so kind of hearing your needs and seeing your investment as well in the raised beds and your willingness to try new things, collect more data, participate in new programs. I just don't know what the other board members think kind of related to that, or if your team has the capacity.
That connection is the lunch we keep trying to have, Carla, but we haven't actually had that. But anyway.
And just in regards to your question is, what we could do is for this project, but we do have a line item for, BCIC projects. And so we could always allocate funds for that. We could work with HACB as well as the city of Brownsville to come up with a project for that.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. And I mean, only because I was looking at everybody else's kind of asks and requests, and I thought, you were so humble to just ask for the need. Yeah. Murad?
I just want to add, I'm very familiar with that site. Maybe the reason why they have limited budget is because the site is kind of small for that particular community garden. So there is maybe no space to add additional shade. But I agree with you that we're going to be open to support any future plans for expansion, whether on that garden or other sites. So, and I like Corey's idea of working with HCC to see what will be the next feasible project for them to support it.
Any other questions?
I hope you.
Go ahead, Murad.
No, sir, I hope you heard that because I know you've been having issue with my audio.
No, you sounded great this time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
What I would like to see is it to be expanded to your other developments.
Yes, like I mentioned, there is a proposed community garden for Buena Vida. And then we're also in the process of a Victoria Gardens tax credit application right now. And if we get awarded, that would be another community garden that we would also be looking at.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if there's no other questions or comments, we need a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion for action on this item.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
We are moving on to item 13, public hearing, consideration, discussion, and action on ordinance 2024-1743 for the city of Brownsville fiscal year 2025 quality of life projects in the amount of $3,380,000.00 as budgeted for items A through J. Okay.
A through K is stated in the agenda.
Motion to open public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Welcome again, Sean.
Good evening. Sean DePalma, Parks and Recreation Director for the city of Brownsville. As you're aware, we're asking for several projects that amount to a grand total of $3,380,000. The first one up would be Morningside Park improvements. Oh, you don't have my other presentation. That's okay. That's okay. So the first one, it's all right. You can put the other one and I'll just go through it so everybody can get to it. It's up to you. Okay, so the first one's Morningside. At Morningside, we're refurbishing and rebuilding softball fields. There's 4 of them there that we're rebuilding. We're going to be focused on 1 kickball field and one soccer field. The projected, because this is an in-house project, the projected cost is about $300,000. The second one we have up is on the, I'm going to go to the list that you're using so they can follow along, which is Olivera Park, which is for a projected amount of $550,000, which is an installation of a splash pad. It is not for the actual restroom renovation, as it's noted here, and I apologize for that. We're going to be running a parallel project in-house for renovations adjacent to where we're going to be installing the splash pad at Olivera Park. The next one up on this list is the tennis center court facility court lighting. As you heard from the Brownsville Tennis Association, we worked in conjunction with them to ensure that we're streamlining efforts to renovate the entire facility, and that would be the resurfacing at the ground level and then the lighting. This project here would not only include updating the fixtures that are currently in place, but it's also adding a few additional poles, conduits, and fixtures on those poles so that we can increase the foot candle. And going back to one of your questions, Chairwoman of the BTA, was what type of tournaments and so forth. And I know I mentioned in a previous meeting that we're looking to try and recruit and attract 125, which is a very good level of professional tournament. And the foot candles that we have, even with replacing the current fixtures on our system, would not be at the level that they would be requiring. So we are going to increase that level of foot candles. The next project up is Cavalier Park Water Feature, which is another splash pad. And as you see, we're trying to bring about equity throughout the city of splash pads and water amenities by putting them in opposing sides of the city. And that's a $300,000 project. The next one up on this is a playground replacement, and it doesn't say there, but the playgrounds that we're targeting is Olivera and Cavalier Park. So if you see, we're trying to invest in whole projects between being equitable across the city as best as possible with this overall ask. The next project up is ADA accessible for playground services and surfaces, and that's $250,000. I have a list of the parks, which is La Galaxia.
La Galaxia.
Thank you. Lincoln Park, and as well as North Brownsville, which is in proximity of the event center. And those playgrounds would then be able to actually connect the user from a walking surface to the first deck of accessibility at the playground. So that's what this ask is for, specifically to help out with some understanding to it. The next project, and that's a $250,000 ask. The next project is public restrooms, and this is pure renovation. Right now, the parks that we would be targeted in on is the restroom at Montebella, the restroom at Cavalier, North Park, and then one of the Dean Porter restrooms. And this would be renovating the functionality and modernizing the inside of it, and it would be, again, an in-house project. The next one up is the new rec center, which is really, when I say new rec center and it's labeled here, it's the conceptual design planning for a future recreation center. And that ask is at $300,000. I think we did speak about it in more detail in a prior meeting. Moving forward from there is a future park design build out project, which is the project at the Water Plane Park, which is a location in Southmost in proximity of Four Corners, and it would also be used, it is a dual use public space for water retention for that neighborhood to help mitigate flooding. And that ask is for $250,000. And then the final one, oh no, second to the final on this list is for general park inventory improvements. That would be upgrade of picnic tables, benches, bleachers, drinking fountains, bike racks, trash receptacles, replacement of some key wayfinding signage, not replacing or upgrading all wayfinding signage, and then some repairs on shade structures and scoreboards. And then the final ask in this package is for a tree canopy project of $200,000, and that is being worked with our city forester. And in addition to that, it would be areas that we would identify so that we can ensure that we're providing, it would mainly be focused on trail systems and upgrading the canopy in trail systems. Not 100%. Mainly. And that would be the totality of the ask, which is $3.38 million.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions?
Just to clarify about the tennis center, in the set of public hearings, the tennis center received just resurfacing.
Correct.
Okay, it said in the slides that it talked about lighting, but
Yeah,
I understand.
He mentioned it was to be removed, the fencing and the lighting.
The fencing and the lighting. And just to be clear, all these projects that came before you that were in conjunction that we did in partnership of planning or strategy, the city has also in writing committed to putting up that funding. The Parks Department will take it from operational funding and general funding and put up that funding for the reimbursement side of the BCIC grant so that these projects have validity and can move forward. So those groups are not coming up with the entire lift plus the 80% plus their 20%. And in certain cases of one, two, two of the three that came prior, we are putting also funding into their direct 20%. So we are fully invested with our partners in those asks as well.
So just to kind of clarify, because you did bring that up, all of these projects are going to be managed and delivered by the city of Brownsville, and does that include the nonprofit ones?
The nonprofit ones, so Tiboteau, Texas, for the kickball, we'll be running it completely in-house based on the fact that they don't have that the capacity at this time. The Brownsville Tennis Association is actually a freestanding association that we have an MOU with, so that they will look to run the project, but we'll have to coordinate with them. Of course, it's on city property. And then when it comes to West Little League, we've already been coordinating with them. So we'll be, if I wanted to say, they would be the project manager, or they would be the client and we would be the project manager when it comes to that project.
And so the projects for this item that's being presented will be completely delivered by the city?
On the ones I just presented for 3.38 million, yes, ma'am. And it will be delivered with a mixture of us being a client and then overseeing a project. And then it would also be where our project manager will run the project in-house. So they vary depending on the size and how quickly we can deliver an outstanding product for the funding.
Yeah, I just asked because I support the projects, but I have concerns over capacity to deliver. But thank you for clarifying my question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Any further questions?
I just have one, I guess, will we be receiving a timeline of when this project will start and end, estimated?
Oh, yes, we, as far as, once it's confirmed that we have the funding available, our finance department is ready to set up accounts. They're already poised to do that. And then, anything that's gonna go out for bid as far as getting a GC as an example, not saying we are, but if that's, we're already prepared. We have worked with our in-house, both our staff and our EPMO office to ensure that that scope is ready to go as well. So the One City Lift, all of our partners internal, our sibling departments are already poised to move forward so that we can move quickly on this, on these projects.
Questions on the right side of the days? Rod?
And just regarding timeline, you will be updated as a board as we move through progress. There will be progress reports. It won't be, hey, give us the money and we're going to finish next year, see you later. It's going to be periodically updating you. And I think we can set that schedule of not only what our cradle to grave for the projects are, but how often we're going to deliver the updates to you.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So Monday, I was in Austin with Helen and Doro and one of the young engineers and Dr. Reiniger from the School of Public Health and Erin Gomez, our representative, and her aide. And we took an e-bike infrastructure tour of the changes that they've done downtown. It was fascinating. It really was fascinating. I asked the three Austin engineers that joined us, what was the turning point for Austin? Because this is a huge leap for the city. And they said that they sent a contingency to Copenhagen. And they learned that a lot of the things that folks were complaining about being not doable in Austin were actually doable if they looked at it through a different lens. One of the things that we saw while we were having a great deal of fun was some permanent porta potties. And I thought of you, Murad, because that's not a negative statement, okay? It kind of looks like a porta potty, but not.
The Portland one?
And
Still?
they're connected to plumbing. They're indestructible, the Austin engineers said. I want to say they said, you better check me, about 100,000 for each unit, and they've installed them at key places in downtown where the routes connect. They were lovely. I mean, they really were. And I think of that now every time I am going to think about that every time I think about park bathrooms. You should check into it, because not for this, but for future, I think it's really useful, because the engineers did say they're indestructible.
They're Portland loops, most likely what you're describing. We did put them in Miami in certain spots in Miami where we had a lot of vandalism. They run a bit higher than 100,000, but if you buy them in bulk, and I believe their bulk is 17, like a little lift, it's about I think it was like 1.8 million to get 10 of them in. No, 18 of them, but it was 1.8 million, something like that. So that's when it got to the price point that you're talking about. They are extremely durable, and I totally agree with that.
We all really were impressed.
And you can wrap them, and they look amazing when they're wrapped. So I'm gonna make a note for Ms. Helen that you want to send me to Copenhagen.
And I'm going to go with you, and everyone on this board is invited.
Well, I already shared with you the self-maintained one, so I'm taking to the next level, man.
Yes, yes.
I'm sure on the level, right? I'm sure on that list.
No, it really is a nice feature, so I'll be quiet. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion for action?
Board, you can take two different ways. You can take it in one action, just stated A through K as in on the agenda, or you can go individually.
I'll make a motion to approve 13A through K.
Wasn't there an edit on B, though? There was no restrooms. That's what we have on our notes over here.
Pardon? I can't hear you.
Item B, there was an edit that it wouldn't go to restrooms. That's the notes we have on this side.
That is correct.
Oh, I see the restroom
So
restrictions.
maybe A through K without B, and then you redo B without the restrooms.
Not aware of, I kind of missed, what's the situation with the bathroom?
I don't understand.
Could you repeat
Sorry.
that,
Can
Nathan?
you
I'm
repeat
sorry.
it?
We can't really hear you. You need to speak into the microphone and not move away from it.
Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Item B,
Okay.
Okay.
the money is no longer going to the restroom. So that modifies the agenda item.
Why
So
not?
should we skip B then?
So
Yes.
skip B and then redo B again.
Okay, now I understand. Okay, does everyone understand now? Okay.
Yes, yes. A through K with the exception of B.
And your motion,
Yes, I would amend my motion and make a motion to approve A through K with the exception of B.
we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we take B?
Correct.
Okay, so now we need action on item B.
With the removal of the restrooms.
Say it again, Corey?
With the removal of the restrooms.
I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question before we do a motion on that one. I think the amount have increased from the initial ask, because I remember the initial ask was about 400,000, not 550.
Sean,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a question that asked about that the original request for item B was less than what it is right now. It was I think in our.
No,
joint-
it wasn't. I think that might have been the confusion. It was the same amount. It was that when we were in in the other meeting, Cavler Park is a 300,000. And the question was, why is it so much different? Well, at Cavler Park, the footprint is gonna be smaller, whereas at Olivera, it's a larger footprint. It is replacing a prior aquatic facility, which was a pool. So that's why the size of it is different, but the 550,000 was always the same mask.
I'm sorry, I don't recall that, but it's still a question. I think it was specifically for the restroom, the amount was less, but I might be wrong, so we need to double check that. I don't know if you have the notes from the previous meeting.
If I do recall in the joint meeting, you did say that the city was going to be responsible for the restroom. Well, the request for BCIC was for just the splash pad.
Yes, and I just repeated that today when I was introducing it. I said that even though it notes restroom, that project's going to be a city-ran project that we're investing in.
So this does not include the bathrooms.
This does not include the bathrooms. I'm not sure why it's noted that way, and I'm sure we've gone through several versions of this, so it could be, I'll take responsibility. But the difference in pricing never was, when we discussed it, was because the footprint at Olivera is replacing a pool, so it's a larger footprint.
It's a larger splash pad.
Right, so, yes, splash pad is a larger footprint with different type of apparatus than the one at Cavalier Park, because it's not conducive to put that large of a unit there because of the other amenities that we are adding to Cavalier Park. We added an extension of the dog park. We're about to put the NFC court in there. It's going to start to lose a lot of its open space if we start putting more. And now the splash pad will be there too. And it will be a great amenity, of course.
Just to clarify, the item B now include the splash pad and the restroom?
No, sir.
Just the splash pad.
Just the splash pad, yes, sir. And yes, ma'am, Corey, I did state that last time and I introduced it that way. I'm sorry for the confusion.
So should we approve just for a different dollar amount, this specific
No,
item, but a
he
different dollar
says
amount?
that is the amount for just the splash pad, the 550,000.
Oh, I thought it'd be
So-
reduced.
No,
So it should be a motion to approve item 13B with the exception of the restroom restoration.
would that work?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
We need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Item number 14, public hearing, consideration, discussion, and action for the following projects at the Brownsville Sports Park in partnership with City of Brownsville with an allocation of $1,570,000 for fiscal year 2025 to go towards the following park improvements. Items 14A through 14E.
Good evening, Sean De Palma, Parks and Recreation Director. Wait, you don't want me to come back up, ma'am?
Oh, to open public hearing again?
Yeah,
Yes.
we should open.
We got to open that first.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Sean De Palma, Parks and Recreation Director for the beautiful city of Brownsville. Today, the ask is $1.75 million. This is for the Brownsville Sports Park. And it is the sports park that BCIC themselves have funded and built originally. The ask here, and I'll go through the list, is the first ask is for retrofitting lighting. And that ask is for $700,000. This is outdoor sports lighting at our pinwheel, which is our diamonds for softball and baseball. The second ask is for netting fencing project, which is $270,000, and that is again at the pinwheel on the property. Then the third project is irrigation upgrades, which is $130,000 ask, and that's for improvements of irrigation for that same area on the facility. Then we move to the fourth ask, which is $300,000 for shade structure, is in replacement and to modify the shades in that same region of the park. And then we go to our tree canopy project, which is the fifth ask. It's $170,000, and that will be throughout the facility of the sports park.
Do you any questions? You have a question?
I do, Murad, did you have a question? Okay, just, I guess my question is probably more for Corey. So this total dollar amount for item 14 is outside of the required ordinance 2024-1743.
That's correct. This is,
So in addition to 50% of the,
this is not part of the ordinance. This is part of, our Fund 23, which was from our debt service. And that was the remaining amounts. We had to have 1 year earmarked for our
Okay.
debt service. And so it is required that, that funds be spent at the sports park because of the reason why the debt service was taken out.
got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I had a quick
Yeah,
question. How long did it take the trees to grow? I'm just curious.
How long will it take the trees to grow?
Grow.
It depends on the size of the tree. For this amount and what we've been doing with our team in-house in conjunction with our sibling department, EPW, who houses the city forester, we're going to a larger caliber tree. So we'll be instituting larger caliber trees so that we can start to have them a better size, a more suitable size for, you know, providing shade sooner. But again, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. And that's the truth of the matter. So it's that simple. So we're living in foresight for the next decade or so.
And I will say the city forester has kind of proven his ability to get really good, healthy trees and kind of keep them growing. Like, I don't know, we did a tree planting in West Rail Trail, and he was able, I was surprised by how big.
We were all surprised. at
Yeah,
how
we were
large they
surprised by how big the trees were that he was able to get for a good price, honestly, so. anyway.
And we're all moving in that direction. I mean, departments, we're moving in that direction. Healthy, larger caliber trees so that we can have more substance when we plant them on day one.
So right now that we have done this last year and recently, do we know the average cost for a tree of the size that we're thinking of right now? Because initially we didn't know how many trees we could get for 300,000 or whatever. Now, do we have an idea of how much?
We have an idea when we sit with the forester and make sure, because we're not planting one species of tree for sustainability if we ever have like a white fly incident or something of that nature. So depending on what the layout of the forester is, then we go ahead and price it. But the rates are very reasonable compared to what we were looking at prior. And then the way we're purchasing them and the caliber that we're purchasing them is very strategic now.
Hunter told us that for the, I don't know how many there were, 20 or so that we planted on West Rail Trail, that he bought them locally and he varied, I think there were 5 different kinds of trees. And he was even surprised at the cost at that time. Now, of course, trees like anything else can go up and down in cost. But the other thing that made that so less expensive was not the fact that the tree costs that much, but it's a straight line. So they can take a water truck and water them easily. So labor is much smaller. And you can't do that when you do, you know, something fancy like a tiny forest or something that's much more elaborate. So
Yes,
in the
you're
sports
right.
park, it would be simple as well.
Yes, you're right, Madam Chair. The cost of irrigation usually for irrigating the trees and maintaining that water source is usually somewhere about 35 to 40% of the overall project. And that's why for us, just pulling off of one of our irrigation line and being strategic of where we're planting our new trees, it will help us instead of trying to start an entire zone fresh with a pump and so forth in that region. So we're using different techniques as well. Thank you.
Any further questions? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move for, motion for action.
I'll make a motion to approve 14A through E.
Do we
Second.
have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item.
Items for individual consideration. Item 15, discussion and action on the planning and scheduling of a board workshop. Nelson will be providing a calendar.
Dr. Gowan, would you like to start?
Sure. Okay, so the The first time I read through the very, very long strategic plan, I found it nearly impossible to digest because it was so enormous and so broad, and I just had a hard time with that. So I reached out to Travis James. Travis is an economic development specialist who has worked with the city since Noel became city manager. He brought Travis to us. And Travis, for the last, I don't know how many years that is, 10 years or so, has been exceptional at explaining things to the commission in terms of the analysis of TERS, the institution of bond items. He's just incredibly, there are some people that know a lot but can't explain a lick. And this guy knows a lot and he can explain very well. So I always walk out of that room understanding exactly what I'm voting on and which direction to go in. So I called Travis and I said, Travis, I'm having trouble with this strategic plan. Can you help me? I sent it to him and he said, well, I can see why you're having trouble with it. And I said, oh. And he said, it's enormous. It's very, very broad. So it really depends on what you asked for. If you asked for a very, very broad strategic plan, you got exactly that. So we talked about that in terms of how to take bites out of it and narrow it down into something comprehensive and logical. And I asked him if he would consider coming to work with the board to do that. And he is going to come for free because he's under contract with the city and he believes this is the people's money. So it doesn't matter to him if he's talking to BCIC or GBIC or the city, he's well paid to do that. So this workshop would be for the purpose of looking at that strategic plan and trying to digest it and come out with something that's very, very productive as opposed to confusing. The thing that he said, and he's spoken with Corey about it. Corey, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, so Victoria and I have already reached out to Travis James to talk about, the plan and what we wanted the outcomes for our meeting for him to facilitate. And the outcomes we want is for more of a board and staff direction for the future of BCIC. And so he asked us, and you've already assigned for us to take those action items out of the strategic plan. And we've taken it and we've narrowed it down. So he wants to take it and talk with y'all to see what is our priorities. And just so that way we have a direction, we can be unified as a board and as team on this. And so that's his goal on that.
So he said that he wants he directed me to instruct you that there is homework. And the homework is that you take the strategic plan and you take each of us individually and you line item the things that somebody else does. Let's say low-income housing. There may be gaps in low-income housing, but we're not the experts in low-income housing. We have HACB and CDCB, and so we could line that out and narrow it down to the items that no one does, and also identify the gaps that maybe we don't take on extra staff to do, but we can fund a particular organization to fill those gaps, but start with the line item. So our instructions, our homework is that staff as a whole do that exercise and bring it ready to that day. And each of us as board members do that homework to bring that day so that we have a starting point from which to take off as he discusses that with us.
I was just gonna say, I think the homework makes sense, but maybe we get it a week before the day, just so that Travis or whoever the team is has time to digest our notes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, I'm
what you
super
said.
congested all of a sudden. Do we wanna submit our priorities, our homework, like a week in advance for Travis? Like showing up with it that day.
What we're looking for, it'll give you plenty of time too, is we're looking at May. We're looking at May to have him come. So we have plenty of time to give you that homework assignment and then have it back so that way he can also look at it and if he needs our assistance to put it together and such. So most definitely.
Yeah, and how long is this workshop proposed to
So
be?
we're looking hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
And so I gave you a calendar on his available dates. And they're in May. It's May 5th, May 8th, and May 22nd. So for the team and I, we would like to have it sooner than later. And so ideally, we would love to try to do it on the 5th, so that Monday. And so he is available in the daytime or in the evening. Again, we could do it during lunchtime hours.
How about the other 2 days?
The 8th.
The 8th?
I could do
I
the
prefer the
after,
5th or the 8th, so.
but can we do the 8th in the evening? Because
Yeah, it's gonna be, it has to be in the evening, right?
Okay, perfect. I'm okay with that.
It could be either evening or
Tracy?
afternoon. Evening?
The 8th?
So can we, is 4, or do you guys want it at 5?
No, no 4, please, no 4. Either, sorry, either midday or after 5:30.
5:30 then. All right. Fantastic.
I guarantee you're going to enjoy his conversation.
Yeah.
He's
Do you
very
need a motion?
personable.
Just like Dr. Gowan has said, that he does really put it in layman's terms to where it's very understandable. And so it helps us. He's looked at our budget, so he's looking at, our allocations and, how we measure success. So he's given us homework as well.
And he works for many other cities in the state of Texas, so he can also talk about what other cities do, how do they approach, and so forth and so on. So I thought it would be a useful exercise, and as I said, he's not going to charge us to, which is even nicer.
Do you need an action?
It is an action on there.
Great.
So just need an action that or you can assign
Motion
myself
to, schedule the board workshop for, May 8th at the 5:30 PM.
Second.
Yes?
I didn't hear the motion.
The motion should be to schedule the workshop on the day decided upon?
Yes.
Okay, so moved, and we need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I just want to clarify, midday is also good on that day. Like if you want to do it during the midday rather than late in the afternoon, that's fine too.
It's not good over this.
I have to be in Westlaco that day, yeah, during the day.
Okay, next item.
Next item would be executive session. We'll need a motion to
We
go
need a
into.
motion, motion to move to executive session.
Second.
Closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, and 551.072, deliberation regarding real property related to the undeveloped land at the Brownsville Sports Park, including discussion of consultant's recommendations.
So moved. I make a motion to go into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's printouts. This reserve printouts.